been reviewing the latest She-Hulk comic, and Volcana recently popped up in it. So I thought I'd make a video explaining her history in Marvel Comics because I don't think a lot of people know who she is. Despite her being best friend with Titania and being the ex-girlfriend of Molecule Man. Although some people might not even know who Molecule Man anymore is. He was a pretty big character from the 80s, but nowadays I think he's just usually a running joke. Also, before we start, I want to say that this video is on Marvel's Volcana, aka Marsha Rosenburg, not DC's Volcana from the DCAU. That is a separate character who is part of the whole Cadmus arc of the DCAU. Marsha is a character who originated from the Secret Wars during the 80s event, not the 2015 Secret Wars. I know it's confusing, but that's just what you have to go with. Got all that? Okay, good. Let's start. Volcana first appeared in Marvel Secret Wars issue 3 in 1984. Volcana was born into a middle-class Jewish home. She was childhood friends with Titania, and the two were bullied for their body weight and appearance. The two girls, while geeky, weren't exactly the rational, calm type. Therefore, they ended up tragically pranking the bullies, which ended up traumatizing their bullies. Which, yeah, that's a bit far, but to be fair, that's not what they weren't trying to traumatize them. They were just trying to prank them, and they were going at them first. So I can understand where they were coming from. The two girls would actually end up impressing Doctor Doom, which is a pretty big, deal. While they were young adults, during the Secret Wars event, they would end up being teleported to Battle World, where Doctor Doom offered to give them powers, to which they agreed, of course, because who wouldn't agree to an experiment from Doctor Doom? Nothing could go wrong. And they'd end up being given powers that were apparently something to do with their personalities. That was a thing, but kind of just got dropped. Titania would be given super strength, while Volcana was given fire-like powers, similar to those of the Human Torch from the Fantastic Four. These two characters, along with Julia Carpenter's Spider-Woman, were introduced once Marvel realized during this event they had only one female villain, who was Enchantress, were only a couple female heroes, who were Storm, She-Hulk, Rogue, Spectrum, and Wasp, since Invisible Woman was pregnant at the time. During this event, each character would end up being paired with another character, who was already established. Titania would be paired against She-Hulk, who would have a huge rivalry in comics with, and would eventually even have a friendship. But Volcano instead would be paired with Molecule Man, who, unlike Titania, her pairing would be the start of a creepy romantic relationship, since Molecule Man is just so much older than her, since I'm pretty sure Volcana just got out of school, and there is some more recent comic books depicting as Molecule Man as an old man, and it's just creepy. I know that they probably didn't intend it to be creepy, but it just comes across very, very creepy. Just the way Molecule Man is drawn, he comes across just so much older than Volcana, and the way he talks to her, and just how it just. Ugh. The event that is Secret Wars, Titania and Volcana would return to Earth, the heroes and villains. But while Titania became a staple of the Marvel Universe as She-Hulk's arch-enemy, Volcana didn't really have a real purpose. She had no hero to fight. Instead, all of her relationships were with other villains. Therefore, she didn't really, have exactly a certain hero to go against. As we only ever see her just really as either Molecule Man's girlfriend, or Titania's best friend, or even Doctor Doom's experiment. And that was really it for her character for the longest time. But after Molecule Man is killed by being absorbed into the cosmic cube with the Beyonder, she's actually reformed and become a hero, which, in my opinion, makes sense, since unlike Titania, who was actually the one who traumatized her bullies, Volcana had seemingly no reason to be a bad guy, other than the fact that everyone else she was close to was a bad guy. Although, in my opinion, I think there is really something there that could be played with, the idea that she's only a villain, so she'd run the same circles with the people she cares about. I think that's an interesting idea, but it's never played with, so it's really a straw I'm grasping at. But Molecule Man wouldn't stay dead for long, as, no one in Marvel ever does, or DC, or Dynamite Comics, or Archie Comics, or any comic. But Volcana wouldn't want to start dating again. But we would only really get to see Molecule Man's perspective on their breakup, which, in my opinion, wasn't a breakup. Man died, and she moved on. But we're meant to think that Molecule Man here is the victim for Volcana not wanting to start a relationship with him again. Which I think, or at least in my opinion, is wrong because Volcana has the right to say no. Also, he died. It's not like she cheated on him. He died. She wasn't waiting around for him because, he died. Why are we trying to say that she is the bad guy here? She did nothing wrong. She just moved on. Or at least that's how I saw how they're trying to have this relationship breakup come across. Like, Volcano is such a horrible person for not wanting to get back together, Molecule Man. I completely disagree with that notion because Volcano, just moved on. It's normal to move on. So I just don't understand why are we trying to act like Molecule Man here is the victim. Anyways, off that rant, the two would end up running into each other at Titania's and Absorber Man's wedding. And that would be really it. They'd have an awkward exchange, but we just see that Volcana wasn't interested in Molecule Man anymore. But we see that he is still not over it, and he is still very, very creepy. And she'd recently appeared in the latest She-Hulk series, which she seems to be joining a fight club with Titania, She-Hulk, and The Thing. Series as in the comic book series, not the upcoming television series. Anyways, the Fight Club is a plot point I really liked, and I hope to see more of it. And that's it for Volcana and comics. Volcana would also appear in adaptations. And actually, that would be a one adaptation. That is Superior Squad show, where she was just Molecule Man's girlfriend, and now with being Nebula's best friend and not Titania's. Because, for some unknown reason, Nebula was on the show as Thanos' sister, while Titania was nowhere to be found. Now, honestly, with her current situation being on the She-Hulk Fight Club team, I think there's actually a future for her in Marvel Comics. But I think Volcana is a great example of why villains need actual motivation and a connection to a hero. Because Volcana really has no connection to anybody that isn't a villain like her. Which just makes her character come across as very, how do I say, not necessarily weak, because she has strong moments, especially with Titania, but she doesn't come across as an actual villain. She just comes across as someone to fill up the ranks, which happens a lot. For example, she'd fight the Fantastic Four just randomly, because why not? She was there, she was a villain, just throw her in, so there's more villains to be in a couple panels. It's an ongoing thing that in comics, a lot of times villains only appear just because they need to fill up the ranks, and Volcana was definitely one of those villains. While Titania was actually being given a more stronger connection with She-Hulk, which eventually ended up turning into a friendship even. Well, I think Volcana and Titania, certainly are I'd say, way to make Titania come across stronger than Volcana. Volcana and Titania has a better relationship than Volcana and Molecule Man do in all capacities. Because Volcana and Titania come across as, even if Titania is the most known and probably more fan favorite, they come across as equals. While Volcana and Molecule Man treats her like a sidekick, or if even. He does not treat her very nicely, and it's being presented as if they're such a loving couple, when in actuality, in the storyline, the only reason why they got together was because Owen was sad that he was on a planet by himself and didn't have any friends and wanted someone to have sex with. That's literally the only reason why they got together, but Volcana saw it as soulmates. And it's just very sad to think that if you think more than a second about Volcana's perspective on the relationship, it's kind of sad. So, because in Volcana's mind, they were like soulmates and like star-crossed lovers until he died. And when she ended up moving on past him, but when he came back, he was upset that she moved on. I think there is something there with Volcana and the idea that she's a villain because she's just close with bad guys more. And I think there really is something there, but it's not really explored. Instead, we just constantly get Molecule Man's side of things. And no offense to Molecule Man, because I actually think he's a great villain for the Fantastic Four. But when it comes to his relationship with Volcana, he is very toxic. And toxic as in toxic for villains. Because there are villain relationships that are, healthy. Look at Titania and Absorbing Man. They're not toxic. But Molecule Man and Volcana, on the other hand, are very toxic. Although heroes can also have toxic relationships, just look at Ant-Man and the Wasp. Or Iron Man and Hellcat even, which is more recent. So, in my personal opinion, I think Volcana is a character who can come back, and I'd love to see her come back. But I can also see her just being thrown away. What do you think of Volcana? Do you like her? Do you not like her? Please leave that all down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.